Defeating a boss requires skills because he or she goes through multiple stages during a fight. Other bosses just stand there and take all the damage. Like a true Tony Montana, they just take your freaking bullets. These bosses are called bullet sponges. You can understand that these fights tend to get boring, but they are not necessarily bad. Let's have a look at 10 bosses that are true bullet sponges. In MMOs, you'll find a lot of bullet sponges. It's part of the game concept, so it shouldn't be that weird to see that Destiny also embraced the idea of a bullet sponge. Both games in the series have been accused of using bullet sponges to ramp up the challenge of a fight. Dominus Gall is a famous sponge from the most recent game, but even more notorious is Valister Arc from the original Destiny. He had way too much HP, and dealing damage was a repetitive chore that left many in your strike without ammo. Did we take him down? Hell yeah we did. But was it fun? Nope.
Dude, you can't be serious! Oh crap, you are!
That's not a beast. That's a mountain.
The latest installment of the Final Fantasy series introduced many new elements to the series. One of the biggest bosses in the game is a giant turtle-like creature called Animantoids. This creature is a true bullet sponge. Of course, you're playing a role-playing game, so it's all about your character's gear and level, but for many gamers, this was a boss fight that took hours of repetitive dodging and attacking. It's safe to say that the fight against Animantoids is one of those things you can put on your resume as an argument to show that you are patient and have the determination to get the job done. Or you could just use the Ring of Lucii and one-shot it. Many demons in the Doom series can be killed with a couple of rockets. This is not the case with the Cyber Demon. In the classic Doom games, the Cyber Demon was a true bullet sponge. You needed to dodge rockets and pump him full of lead. In the latest Doom game, that fight has become a lot more nuanced. He takes an incredible amount of damage, but this bullet sponge fight is actually a lot of fun. You need to use all the game mechanics you've learned to take this guy down. Getting hit by one of his attacks can mean instant death. Yes, it's hard. Yes, he takes an insane amount of damage, but this bullet sponge is great. The Metal Gear series is all about story-driven bosses that surprise you with new attacks all the time. Without disrespecting the Phantom Pain, its bosses don't even come close to the bad guys from Snake Eater or the first Metal Gear Solid. There are several skulls in the game, and you would expect a cool fight from these parasite-enhanced super zombie humans, but overall it's a disappointment. Especially the fight against the two male armored skulls, which is nothing more than standing still and countering their attacks. And yet, this fight goes on and on forever. Nemesis is one of those memorable enemies in the Resident Evil series. He can be found in multiple games and is designed to be a real punching bag. This pumped-up zombie can feel like a true bullet sponge with almost unlimited health. Especially Resident Evil 3 is notorious for its near unwinnable encounters against this war machine. You keep shooting at him and it almost feels like you're not doing any damage at all. Until at one point he finally collapses. He comes back a couple of times later on, and every time you need to pump him full of lead. Say bye-bye to all that precious ammo you've been trying to save up.
Don't give up. This creature may be immortal in its own realm, but in this reality, it cannot survive without a host. And that makes it
Borderlands revolutionized the first-person shooter genre by adding role-playing elements to the game. Depending on your level, some bosses are easier to defeat than others. Obviously, bosses can take a lot more damage than normal enemies, but one boss really stands out as a bullet sponge. The Destroyer is not a very hard fight, but you need so many bullets to finish him off. During the fight, you need to scavenge ammunition in order to take this monster down. It's not a very creative battle as this massive creature just sits there while you fire away. The Destroyer is a bullet sponge for sure.
Are you the Guardian?
I am Warden Eternal. I stand in service to Cortana.
First-person shooters and boss fights are always a tricky combination. In Halo 5, the fights against the Warden Eternal make this abundantly clear. Especially when you're playing solo on a higher difficulty, this guy just takes a ridiculous amount of bullets. You encounter him several times during the campaign, and each battle is extremely boring.
Damn it, Warden! Stand down!
He gains a few extra moves along the way, but overall, these boss fights lack imagination. Combine this with the insane amount of damage he takes, and we've got a classic definition of a bullet sponge here.
Frail creatures.
The final fight on the train against General Ram in Gears of War is famous for all the wrong reasons. Ram is an insane bullet sponge, especially on the higher difficulties. The whole level is designed in his favor as well, so he can never get close enough. And of course, there are those annoying krill, making things even harder. All these things can make this boss fight very frustrating. General Ram sure is notorious, but staying in cover and having the perfect weapon can make a big difference. The first Uncharted game was a great introduction to this epic series, and the second and third game were praised as well. However, Uncharted 2 and 3 also suffered from lots of enemies being bullet sponges. These normal humans took quite a lot of bullets before they went down, and then we're not even mentioning the boss fights.
You're going to die here!
Remember Lazarevich from Uncharted 2? He even implied to be invincible. In our book, it's a bit of a ridiculous final boss on a game that was amazing for the most part. Thankfully, this series regained some sense with Uncharted 4.
Drake! Are you kidding me?
In all honesty, we love Vanquish. It would be great if that game could make the jump to the current generation of consoles. However, even though we really like this game, we have to add the final boss to this list. Bogey Alpha and Bravo is a very nerve-wracking boss fight. You need to kill them both, and their attacks do a massive amount of damage. It's a very stressful fight, and you will need a lot of bullets to take them down. It's not impossible to defeat Alpha and Bravo, but it sure requires some skill and lots of patience.
He's too fast! Damn it! Can't this suit be
And now you wonder, where's the division? Yes, we could have added that one as well, but we didn't want to be too predictable. Do you enjoy bullet sponges? Let us know in the comments, on social media, or on zoomingames.com. See you next time on one of our other videos.
You don't have the will.
Maybe not. But they do.